beautiful people. How are you feeling tonight? All right, that is beautiful. My name is Joelle Fundaro, and sometimes people say that I put the fun in Fundaro. But tonight, I'm not going to be telling you about some of my fun stories that have happened in my life. So when you look at me, you see brown hair, brown eyes, about 5 foot. I like to say I'm 5'1", but actually I have something invisible I don't share a lot with a lot of people. Only people that I'm really, really close to I share this with, and I'm going to share that with you tonight. So if I rewind back in time to when I was in elementary school, I remember there was something called the red carpet for reading time, and I avoided it so much. I remember my teacher saying, "Miss Joelle, why aren't you going to that red carpet?" I was like, "Because it smells." And that was not the real reason. The real reason was because I was terrified of reading. And soon I didn't have enough excuses anymore to go to the red carpet. And I remember my teacher sitting me down and saying, "You know what, Joelle, we're going to start with a simple word." And so she wrote the word on the board, and I remember looking at it. And a couple of my friends started to move closer, and they were watching me, and they're like, "What's Joelle doing?" You know, because you're younger, you want to be a part of everything. And I remember looking at that word, and it was about 2 to 3 minutes, and I didn't know what that word was. And I could feel my body kind of get really warm, and I felt my heart racing, kind of like it is right now. And I remember my tears welling up because I couldn't read that word, and everyone else around me started laughing, and I was horrified. It was the first time in my life I had truly felt like a failure. And the biggest piece of that, it was my name. It was Joelle. That was the first time people realized that Joelle was a different learner, and I was. But I didn't want to be different. I wanted to be like everybody else, because that's what you want to be when you're younger. And so I remember the test came after that, another test, and they couldn't figure out what was going on with me. And I was like, "I don't need help. I'm fine. I'm like everybody else." But I wasn't. I was a different learner. And I also remember in 5th grade, we got to design these beautiful fish. The fish represented you. So mine was, of course, lime green with glitter, because I just loved that. And and I remember my fish was on this side. And this is where everybody started. Everyone else moved forward and kept moving forward, but I was still over there. And as the year went on, I just felt that fear again, like, I'm such a failure because I can't read, and I'm trying so hard. My parents were phenomenal. They got me tutor after tutor, and no one could figure out what was wrong. And I just felt so alone, and I felt like an outsider. When everyone else was at PE and music, the fun classes, right? Everyone looked forward to that. I was in the resource room trying to learn how to read. Finally, in 6th grade, breakthrough, when everyone was reading Harry Potter, right? It was the biggest excitement, right? I was still on Dr. Seuss. 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish. But to me, I had made it. I had finally moved forward. I acted like that, but truly, I was still discouraged. I still felt like a failure, but I masked that. I acted like everything was okay. Time went on. I got into high school. I know I'm only 5 foot, but I was pretty athletic. I played volleyball, softball, and tennis. It was great. I felt like a part of a community, and it was one of the most empowering things in my life. But I still had that fear inside of me. Every time I had to take that test, I would be the last person to take that test, and I would make really awesome study guides. Still didn't help. And so did some sports and realized, I want to go to college. Like, everyone's been talking about it. I talked to some of my friends who were like, "Oh, I'm going to go here because my parents went here. Oh, I'm going to go to this place because, well, that's where my grandparents went," and there was that legacy piece. And then I realized again, I was a little bit different. You see, my parents didn't go to school. They didn't have the opportunity to go to school. And so I would be the first person in my family to go to school. And that was exciting, but also I was terrified. I don't know what I'm doing. And I went to my parents for all the advice. Sometimes I'd take their advice, and sometimes I wouldn't. But that's here nor there. But as I moved forward, I was like, okay, I need to apply for a scholarship. That's the only way I'm going to get into college, because I wanted to be a special education teacher, inspire other children. So I quit volleyball. That was a really hard thing to do, because that's, again, where I felt like I was a part of a community. And so quit volleyball and decided I'm going to apply to as many scholarships as I can. So I did that. And I got into a couple of schools, but I remember walking onto campus. I'm sure some of you had that feeling walking onto Hope College. And I felt like I found my place. And my place was at Western Michigan University. And I worked really hard. I got a scholarship. Things were looking great, right? A new place. Everything was going to be new and great. And so I went to campus, got involved on campus, and still felt like an imposter, though. Everyone around me, they knew what midterms were. I had no idea what a midterm was. I found out what a midterm was very quickly. And so from that experience, I joined a sorority. I felt that sense of community again, but I still felt that peace inside of me where I was like, oh my goodness, like what's going to happen once I start taking these tests? People are going to find out. But I didn't need anyone's help anymore. I got into college and I made it. And I wasn't going to ask for help. I didn't even know about some of the resources, and I could do this. I had these expectations that I needed to make my parents proud. I needed to show them that I could finally do this on my own because I'm in college, right? I know everything. That's not the truth. I didn't know everything. So I joined a sorority, like I said earlier, and there was a little caveat. It was social, yet you had to have a minimum GPA. And so same for my scholarships. I had to maintain a certain GPA. So I was really busy enjoying my experience at Western Michigan University, and it was wonderful. But then the first midterm came. And I had studied. I didn't go to the study groups because I didn't have time to. I was too busy. And then I got that result back. I had failed. That wave of emotions that I kind of shared with you earlier came back. And I was like, you know what? I can do this. I don't need to go to the resource room anymore. I have made it to college, and I'm going to do this on my own. So then I studied. One of my friends was like, hey, you should come to this study group for anthropology, a class of 125 people. The study groups were about 30 people. And so I was like, I'm not going to tell them my challenges and be vulnerable to them. Who's vulnerable? No, I got this. I can handle it. But thank you, though. And so then the last exam came. And I got an email, too, from the dean saying, Miss Fundaro, very formal, Miss Fundaro, we've noticed that your GPA is quite low. If you do not have a strong GPA your first semester, you will not be able to continue here at Western Michigan University. Our academic achievement chair from Alpha Zeta Delta, that's the sorority I was a part of, contacted me too. Hey, Joelle, we got your midterm results. We noticed that your GPA is a little bit low. Do you need some help? You know what I said? No, I don't need any help. I got this. I'm fine. So then that midterm comes. All these waves of emotions. And I got a phone, that midterm, right before I walked in, my dad called. Hey, Mama, which means sweet little one. How you doing? I said, I'm okay. He knows my voice is cracky like it is right now. And he's like, how you doing, Joe? I'm like, I'm okay. Go into that midterm, or not midterm, that final. And he's like, you got this. You already are doing well in that class. You see, I had lied to my dad. I said that I was doing fine. I couldn't let them down. I'd worked so hard to get here, and they were so proud of me. I was the first one to do this for my family, right? So much pressure. And I lied to him. I was like, I'm okay, Dad. I'm going to ace this anthropology exam. So in the exam, I realized I wasn't failing because I had a learning disability or I was a first-generation college student. I should have asked for help, but I chose not to ask for help. And it's something so simple, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't bridge myself to say, hey, I need help, because I felt like I had asked for help so many times, and I still failed. And so one thing that I will always hold to myself is I failed because I was silent, and I chose to be silent.